This is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Friday, March the 2nd, 2018, and I'm back again with my good friends Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Reader. And this is conversation 2 of the evening. So when we left off, okay, so
you were in a fierce battle when we left off.
Yeah.
yes, I am still in a fierce battle. I'm a little discombobulated this evening, if anyone can't already tell. But I'm going to read this very first portion of in this email that you sent to Lisa and I,
Okay.
because I read it earlier and I had to stop and think about it. And so, you are in the mother of all pretending games. You need to take yourself out if you want expansion, the new earth to be quantum and limitless. And I didn't get that at first. But I do now. So.
And you really will in a few minutes at the end of the video.
Yeah. So that's all I'm going
Hey.
to So
because we're going to have a show and play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Here it comes. Whee! It's fun though.
Well, in truth,
I think we all love it.
Well,
Do you?
In truth, I knew that this was what was going to happen. I told you, you weren't in here earlier, Lisa, and I told BZ I knew that this is what I think it presented itself for this very reason. So
And
how do we begin?
Good focus and a good springboard for it.
Yeah. Okay. So now.
So what was your question?
My question.
So you want to just play with it?
Well, let's just play with it, and then because I'm sure
Okay.
I'll have lots of questions.
Okay. Well, part of this is that you're fiercely playing, you in particular right now on camera, because that's how you roll. But
Apparently,
so many of us are fiercely playing in the pretending game. And the reason that if you don't choose consciously, and sometimes you may have to choose and 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 choose in a minute to take yourself out of that, you can't be all those things that you read in that first sentence.
yeah.
Because they are different frequency vibrations. They are different energetic signatures. They are different, actually, realities. And you hold yourself in one, which is not a limitless one. It's not of the new earth. It's not of expansion. It's not, quite frankly, of happiness, ease, and any form of deliciousness.
And so as I am right this moment, actually, but I don't really want to, and I have for the better part of, well, more actually than 24 hours, been questioning myself, as which now I feel is even more playing in the pretending game.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the chief orchestrator of that game, the captain, the one who's choosing the sides, the one is your lower ego mind.
Yeah.
And so someone might say, well, what's she pretending? What's the pretending game? Well, it's pretending to be small. It's pretending to be confused. It's pretending to be ego driven. It's pretending to be offended. It's pretending to be uncertain. It's pretending to be annoyed. It's pretending to be frustrated. It's pretending to think that, you know, you're rude or other people are rude or whatever it is. So the list goes on and on and on. It changes for different people in different circumstances. You know, your list right this moment for things that you're, I would say playing with, you would say, you know, fiercely rolling in the mud with.
That's the way it feels at the moment. But so wait a minute. I have a question because, well, not even a question. I know what you're saying is true. So it's not really even a question. Okay. So I'm feeling, I hear what you said about pretending, you know, all of those things. And you're right that on the one hand, I'm feeling that, and I know that there's a truth in that. And then there's this other part that's like, but. And the confusing part feels still to be there too. Is that just a matter of not trust?
Describe the feeling of the confusing part. What does that feel like? Not what does it think like, not what is the emotion description, what does it feel like? Remember, the feeling is the inner core to you, and the emotion is layers out.
Okay, when you say inner core, is that my body, or is that
the feeling is a direct line communication with you and all of you. And yes, it's in your body, so that's part of it. And you can get those signals, that language through the feeling comes through in different signals, as well as, you know, other things, as we talked about in another video, when you were having a fierce pretending game in that one too. So let's play for a moment the pretending. So the reason that it's a pretending game and the mother of all pretending games is because you are a creator being, because you are eternal, because you are source, because you are, you know, on your path and expanding in, and yes, rustling in the mud, and, you know, you got, you know, mud in your hair and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's cool. That's how you get there. You got to go dive in to go through to get out. So it's pretending, because the truth of who you are and what you're fully stepping into is none of those things. So think of it as a game when kids say, hey, let's pretend to be space marauders, or let's pretend to be flowers, or let's, right? Okay. So in those kinds of things that you can see is kind of fun, and you're pretending, and that's good. That's a good thing. But this is the mother of all pretending games in the sense that kind of the way that phrase comes around is that you're locked into it, and it's not all that fun, even though sometimes you're teeth gnashing and you're fiercely doing it. You're thinking, yeah, I'm gonna get it, you know, kind of a thing. So and when you're locked into it, you do take yourself in an opposite direction of where, in your case, you want to go. In some people's cases, it may be just their soul, because they've got the pillow over their head, or they don't get it, or whatever it is. I mean, there could be a whole host of reasons. But the planet is going one way. Your soul's going that way. A lot of people want to go that way. You know, you can put your hand on either side of the body that you want and put it in any direction. That way that I'm referring to is to expansion, limitlessness, all of that.
Right.
Okay. So when you're not only pretending, but you're not pretending consciously, you're not pretending in a way that has clarity with being resolute because you want to use it as a way to experience something consciously, to work some things out or whatever, okay? You're doing it unconsciously. Your ego is controlling the games, the parameters, the sides, the teams, you know, whatever languaging you put on the game playing, and there's nothing conscious about it. You know, it's got a hold of your cojones and it's just, you know, whipping you around and beating you, you know, on the thing. And are we having fun yet? So,
well, in my case, I don't feel like it's that. I think that everything that's presented itself for me has been, I've arranged on purpose. It's the sorting out of all of that so I really, in looking at this, I'm not pretending to be a victim. I'm trying to sort out for myself what it is and how to, because I do want that expansion. I want out of that mother of all pretending.
But if I ask you to come back to and step back before the last video, and before the off-camera conversation that we had, where there was a resolution, where there was demonstrable on your part from an energetic perspective, from an actual audio with your mouth saying things and your whole body language there. Because I got a witness over there, plus the guys here all saw it, right? So where you had come around to a thing, you came to an expansion point, you chose to let it go for various reasons, right?
Right.
So now, you know, we move forward in moments, and you're back to swirling, or what I would say, which is actually more accurate, you are now have stepped firmly into that fierce pretending game. Because your ego mind did not actually was righteously pissed at where you ended up on the other side. Excuse me? What are you, crazy?
We're gonna do what? Okay.
So
that's pretending now.
That's why this topic is actually very apropos, and I knew nothing about what I walked into the conversation before when it came to me and I sent it to you, which is why I said that the three up there have orchestrated this all and said, okay, this is how we roll, this is how we flow. Get the can.
I guess so.
Well, I'm just sitting here a little bit gobsmacked. I just did all of that.
It was good. I'm telling you, the setup was gorgeous. We're so funny.
Why would one do that? At some point, don't I have control over that little booger?
When you choose, absolutely, in every moment. And you did choose, and you did play with it, and you worked hard, and you went down furrows and threw in the mud and all that kind of stuff, and you had very healthy expansion and questioning and this, that, and the other thing, and maybe a little bit too rope-a-doping on yourself, but that's okay. So you did it, and there was quite a lot, it was an hour and 30-minute conversation on that, right? A little bit more. So I'm saying that's sometimes what it takes, whether you have it with yourself or another or whatever. Writing it down, making your own Zoom video just with yourself. I mean, there's lots of ways to do it. And then you listen back. No, I'm serious. That's actually very good.
I'm laughing because there's been several Zoom videos that I've made today that I've erased. So that's why I'm laughing. See, yeah, you were privy to an hour and 30 minutes. I, however, have been doing this. Oh,
Okay, so you asked, why do I choose this? Well, that's a good question. And why did you choose it for the hour and 30 minutes? And why did you choose it for the hour before that, or the 2 hours before that, or the 3 hours before that? And you said that you've been doing this for 24 plus hours. So why do you keep choosing that?
I really, in this moment of right this second, I don't feel like I can answer for that. I feel rather stupid.
Well, okay, if you want to feel that way, that's cool. That's a choice.
Well, I mean, I don't, that's what I'm
But
saying.
instead, right, take ownership of your vessel. Take ownership of who is leading the way. Take ownership and set parameters, right? And set boundaries within yourself of where this can come out. What do you choose? And vis-a-vis your ego mind and all these pretending games, because that's what you're doing. You're in the mother of all pretending games. That's just why it got orchestrated this way. And it wasn't me. It wasn't this shirt down here that orchestrated. I had nothing. I was working all day. I didn't know about any of this. But so that you choose. And this is where, and perhaps this, and it feels to me like this is where you finally, because it hasn't been something that you've done before, this is where you finally lay down, explain, come to resolution and completion with, in a very expanded, very loving, very crystal clear way, that your heart leads the show, and that your ego mind, as it's transforming and transitioning and all kind of leaving and getting to its best higher metamorphosis of itself, which is your higher mind, is a partner. And you understand that sometimes that's hard, because the rest of you is having some dips and expansion, and then of that. That's great. Nonetheless, this is what you've chosen. This is where you're going. And you fully expect, want, and enjoy it to come along in its proper role. And you're thrilled that it is, because there's tremendous valuable support that it can give as it's moving through its own expansion and into its higher mind. And it's fabulous, because not only can it help you in your own being as you walk through different parts, but it came because you chose it. When you sat on that beach around the fire and you were talking about all the different things, and you were with all the rest of the beings that were in those coherence groups, and that came to do these different things, you chose, a good way to say it is, you chose exactly the battles and exactly the tenacity and the fierceness of your ego mind, because it would benefit you in that transformation, in that growth, in that expansion that you were having. And it would be a very wonderful way to showcase the process and to carry out part of your mission, which is doing this with the camera rolling. No coincidences. None.
Yeah.
Does it piss you off? Yeah, but no coincidences. It's just the way it is.
It's gorgeous, man. I love it. The beauty.
It's just very frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I know what I want, and and because I have the tendency to overanalyze myself along with every other thing that I look at, I can see where a lot of this I end up doing to myself without realizing what I'm doing. Well,
So one of the things for you and maybe for others who are watching this, some may be looking at this and going, what are they talking about? And some may go, yep. So, it's different for all. And there's a lot of actually energy keys and codes transmitting in this particular one. One of the things that I'll share with you, one of the ways that I play with is it doesn't happen all that much because I've been in such big mud puddles, they were actually stadium-sized mud pits. Okay, so, I mean, because, why do something small when you can do it really big, right? So, down in the mud and, the fierce and all that kind of pretending games. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, what I did was I came up with a way to just stop it in its tracks. Not to force anything, but to stop the mud rolling, or when we thought that I'd gotten something settled, kind of like what happened with you earlier, and all set, and I had the expansion, and I'm walking out of the building, and I get smacked with a big splat of mud right in the back of my head, and of course, so, right, I get hooked right back
into it. Yeah, that's what happened.
Okay. So what I do is I say, I'm good. That's enough. And I really do appreciate what you've brought forth, because there always is something that I can play with or something that I can clean and clear, because we're always expanding. So you don't get to the end of whatever you might say is this or that or demarcation and okay, I'm done, because you're going to keep expanding. So you're going to keep clearing out whatever the lower, so it may be higher than what the lower was before, but right?
Right.
So I would say that, and I would consciously transmit nothing but waves of love and say, I am love. I'm stopping all of this other swirling, and I'm love. And it would come, and I would just say it again. I would hug it, I would embrace. So I'm talking out loud the whole time. Okay? And if I happen to be at work and this is happening, then I'm at work and I'm talking out loud, and I don't really care, because that's what I'm doing. And same thing. So it may be that at once and it's done. It may be 50, 60, 100, 200, 350, and then it's done. And there's no upset, there's no frustration, there's no annoyance, there's no I'm going to smack you upside the head. There's none of that kind of stuff. The phrase that I do, because what works for me, is I'm love, and we're done. And when I do that, it immediately changes my whole frequency vibration. And yes, I may have it, wanting to chomp at the edges, but I do it and it resets it again. And since I'm not pushing away, and I'm not, what did you say? Some people want to kill or whatever. I'm not interested in any of that kind of stuff. Right?
Right.
What I am absolutely 100% committed to and certain of is that there's a partnership. We're both expanding. There is transformation. I am absolutely engaged with my higher mind, all of that. And the other part is simply going away, but it's helpful. It can point things out. It can play some kind of, analyzing role, or but from a higher perspective, and occasionally if it wants to spin down and that, no, done, it's good, I love and done. And that seems kind of simplistic. It seems kind of like, can that be enough? But that exercise takes a nanosecond, and it is a frequency vibrational harmonic field that I create. And it absolutely extinguishes. And usually what ends up happening, even if there are a few ropey dopes, right, one or two, and there's been a couple times, and they've all had the same genesis in the last month and a half. It's a family end of life kind of a thing. And when that happens, it changes immediately, because there's no point in arguing with that energetic, which has no argument in it at all. It simply is absolute love. Well, so anyways, that's what I do, and that's what works for me. And like I said, and that's from, not a small stadium, but bigger than Madison Square Garden type stadiums with really deep mud.
Well, I don't feel like I was rolling around in that deep of mud, but I guess.
But see, something's changed, right? So you, Lisa, can see it. There's something that you've moved to a slightly different, maybe not all the way, but you've moved to a different place in the last couple minutes.
Well, I'm not sure.
You don't feel like you've let go of some of that a little bit?
Oh, no. Yeah, no, yes, I have. I'm partly because I sat here and asked myself, yeah, what happened to what went on a little earlier, and also trying to get a handle on this overanalyzation thing I got going on. There's that too. Because I want this expansion, I want to get into whatever, holds me in a specific area.
But overanalyzing doesn't get you expansion.
I realize that. No, I get that. That just has me chasing my tail.
Yeah.
When something this was, I think, more than one. There was more than one thing for me to look at and address here for myself. And while some of it did entail ego, some of it entailed other things too. And, boundaries for myself, boundaries for the ego, all of those sorts of things.
And actually choosing what you want as far as your path of expansion in specific areas.
Right, in specific areas. And so it was it just was a bit confusing and quite frankly, I don't know why it came right back around again, other than, like you said, I pissed it off. I pissed it off by expanding, and it wanted to stomp its feet a little bit, and showed up again. So I must be a control freak, first of all, because I instead of just allowing it to, okay, whatever, let's let that go now, and I want to beat it down in submission, and that's not right. That's not working.
Well, that'll never get where you want to go.
Based on our previous conversation with you, I realized that, yeah, that's tantamount to killing it, and of course it doesn't want that. So, and that's not a very expansive thing either. That's more constriction, like we had talked about before, and I can feel the difference.
So invite it to play for a moment to look at how, and both of you, how you would look at this pretending different things, because there are some of those possibilities of pretending that of this, that, and the other thing that your ego mind can clearly say, I don't do that. I have no problem with that. So and you don't have to do it right this moment, but that's one way to play with this. So you can identify some of those things, and then in a partnership discussion with that, have it say, well, yeah, you just, and it can, that's when the analyzing, that's when, what is an annoying rope-a-dope when it's fighting against you actually comes in hand, because then you can see, and maybe if somebody else is doing that, or something that's coming up in your experience of different things, those would help. So that's a way to invite. It's also building the muscles of inviting your transcending ego to your higher mind into partnership with you, with your heart leading everything. So you get used to that. So that's now the new normal. That's now the new go-to space.
Well, that's what I would like to think that I was doing today, but I'm not clear as to whether that's what I was doing or not.
Yeah.
Most of the time it ends up feeling like I'm questioning whether or not I'm going about this in the proper manner, which then on one
level, since you're the one who designed it and who sets it out, only you can decide that.
Right. I know. Exactly.
You don't read the right book or watch the right video or
right,
or pay the right ticket.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. It just simply doesn't work that way.
No, that's true. It doesn't. So what?
And to go back, and the reason why, because where are we all on this? Because Source wanted to know Source, and it's starting back on the trajectory. So, and now if it was just that, then Source could have stopped at one fractal of itself going out to know Source, not make. I have no idea how many there are, but they're probably limitless. So, right?
I think so.
And if it's only one video or one book or one whatever, well, okay, that's kind of silly.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's why you are the expert on it, and Lisa is the expert on her. And so on. So for whatever the you is.
Yeah.
See, that's where there's a lot of issues that are coming up for me in this, because right this second, I don't feel like I'm the expert on, least of all me.
So wait. Don't think I am. So who is the I that was at the front of the leading of that conversation right that moment?
The ego.
Right.
Well,
and where's the heart in that? Where's the heart in that conversation? So if the heart comes and stays, the heart's going to say, yeah, you bet, I am. I am the expert.
No, you're exactly correct. That just sunk in. Of course the ego doesn't know, because it's not supposed to be running the show.
The heart knows, and the ego asks, why?
Yeah.
So come play with the pretending game, Lisa.
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
Oh, that was brilliant. Oh, I love all of that. And I like to, just to coincide with what you were saying about the inviting it to a higher perspective. Sometimes I find that, I call them mind loops, because I start with the problem and I come all the way around and I end up at the problem again. and so I try to visualize what it is. I'm inviting now my ego mind to join me in a new game. Mm-hmm. And this game is led by my heart. And it is, what does my heart desire as the outcome for this, whatever bone I'm chewing on? And I want to go right to there with my attention and my focus, and allow the mind to have a new bone to chew on. What is it that I want? What is the desired outcome? And try to use my focus and attention on that instead of the same circular thinking so I'm now focusing on what it is I wish to desire, and in the focusing I'm pulling that in, and I'm playing a new game, and I'm not sort of repeating history.
Right. Yeah, and that's a beautiful illustration of, well, your heart. That's why your heart does that with the mic, because the heart goes, yes, she got it. So that in itself is an illustration, but it's a beautiful illustration. Then you can, when you're doing that, instead of making donuts, peeling out in the same circle and clouds of smoke, now you can be carving and shaving and sculpting and creating what you want that outcome. And you can invite the mind, as it makes its transition and transformation to the higher mind, to come in with logistics.
Yes, participate. Yeah.
It has a lot of strengths in that sense, especially when it goes to its higher mind aspect of that, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
those would be helpful for creation, because you're creating in embodiment. So you do need all of those things to be pulled in. You just do it from a higher expanded perspective that is limitless.
Yay!
So, you pull that in. So that, that's a beautiful example of that. Excellent. Yeah. And and it's easier to breathe without all the donuts and the dust.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Well, and sometimes I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what the outcome is. So how can I get there if I don't know where I'm going?
Right. Well, you can go for the feeling place of it. What is,
exactly.
So I'm here wherever it is, and the outcome feels like this. And and
play with that, expand that.
Right. And then, and that's where, again, those strengths and those skills really of the ego mind transitioning higher mind, right, come into bear, are really very helpful in the testing out. So I want to feel into it so I can feel this much of an outcome, right? Great. Right. And it runs with it, and it plays with it, and it does this, and pulling all those things that before were very negative and annoying, but now, because there's a partnership, and in an invited partnership, and an actually revered and really appreciated partnership that's all led based on and foundation of love in that partnership, right? Yeah. Then as it gathers all that, you can go, oh yeah, and I feel the outcome is this, or and it's cool because there's this incredible, limitless, unbounded game that's being played that the ego loves to thrive on. Now we're just doing in the parameters where it's an expansive thing. Yeah, it's cool.
Yay! The new world. We're creating it right now. It feels good.
Yeah.
Yes, I have some thinking to do, I think. Well, not thinking. I don't know what the right words are to say. So I'll just say that it needs to land for a bit, because I'm apparently I'm not through playing in some fashion. I'm getting it, and I'm hearing it, and I know that what both of you are saying is correct. And yet I'm having issues. So I'm apparently not through playing that game yet. But I will take ownership of that, because in this moment of now, I'm just sitting here, and maybe it is that I'm no, and I'm not backpedaling on what I went through earlier off camera, and what I came to for myself in regards to that. It's just I'm having this very weird feeling in my head right now, and I'm actually trying to. No, I'm not trying. I have said this is what I want, and yet I'm still getting this little mud pie thrown at the back of my head for some reason.
Right.
So in this
So,
moment,
you know, take some time
right,
to invite it, as just Lisa and I were just talking about, where you're not certain of the outcome, but that you have a feel, it feels like X. And so there were some steps that we talked about off camera that you could take. So start to play with those steps. Invite your ego mind transitioning to your harm to be you, give you and those kinds of things. And now, again, you'll find that that partnership, because there is the same thing I was just talking about with Lisa, that partnership is there. It will turn. It's a very helpful part of you, and you called it down. You created it to be what it's doing, the role that it is, and it's now, just as everything else is transition and transforming.
right. And I feel like that is true, that it's in a transitioning stage. And I also think that
Mm-hmm.
for me in this moment of now, part of the reason that I'm having this experience of the odd feeling even is the steps that we spoke about off camera. I haven't begun those. I haven't worked towards any of those yet, and so that might also be part of this weird feeling I have.
Well, it's also a good bet that you've got synapses actually rewiring in your brain.
Well, I would not doubt that. Because I'm like I said, I'm feeling. I have just odd feeling, and I've had a bit of uh, pain back here in the back part of my neck, and bit of a headache beginning, and so it's almost like I
Without the sound, it's kind of like zzz, and there's other colors, and they're all.
yeah, because I've also had that swirly, not the whole quantumy thing that I've described before, but there's a bit of swirl, sort of. So I know that there's something physically going on in that
Yeah.
too. So it's not.
And
I'm
that's
not in.
another. I was going to say that's another beautiful illustration for you yourself and for others, you know, in the conversation, to acknowledge, so they can see it, you know, kind of external to them, but take it on, and where does it fit with their own experiences, right? You bet. We are changing everything in our body, everything in our mentalities, everything in all of our fields, everything in all of our heretofore realities are either collapsing or changing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
so
you're
it's
going to have those feelings.
right. It feels like a lot to uh, take in all at once, and
Yes.
at the moment, that's why I'm not in this very moment of now. I'm not um, being overly concerned about all of that, because I feel like I feel very strongly that there's some integration.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to say, sleep on it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is a new day. You'll be a new woman in the morning.
Well, and at night, all that integration will take place very rapidly and actively. And, you know, that's why we open and close these energetic envelopes, because it contains it in that, right? And actually lets it, you know, lets what's transpiring flourish in that.
Right. So thank you very much, because I have shifted. I mean, I can see where I went a full circle, but I've also shifted a bit beyond that,
Yeah.
from not just where I started earlier this evening off camera. I worked through some of that then,
Yeah.
and then I actually came back around. I think I got that mud ball in the back of the head kind of thing. But now I feel as though I may have even shifted not maybe even a little past that, but I also feel so funny. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, some of it is actually solid and integrated and locked in, and a whole bunch more is shifting and changing and, you know, coming in, releasing. So it's going out and coming in and changing.
Yeah, I'm not in any doubt of that because, like I said, the way I'm feeling right now,
I find sleep very helpful.
well, I was about to say, I think that's gonna do it for this edition of Conscious Conversations. As she yawned really big.
Good night. See you in the morning.
Well, you know, thank you both very much for all of our conscious conversations, of course, but these in particular too. They've been very helpful to me in a lot of ways.
Cool.
So
Awesome. Me too.
you will always find both of these lovely ladies' information in the show more section of the videos that we do together. BZ's blog at the IUV will be listed as well as Lisa's two blogs, Heart Song Musings, and also Rush Solutions Tools for Transformation, along with the Friends of Conscious Conversation Central Facebook page. Link will be there, and my email address. Thank you so much for being here, ladies, again, and
Thank you for having me. Much love.